You're watching The Astro King Show. The revolution may or may not begin here. An era has ended, ladies, gentlemen, and Satan-worshipping globalists. Nigel Farage is no longer the leader of UKIP, but don't be too disheartened. Take solace that he went out as he led, drunk, naked, and leaving the door wide open for his return. Appearing on the nation's top political commentary show, Loose Women, Nigel announced he would return for the 2020 general election, and if a hard Brexit hadn't been delivered, which it almost certainly won't be, so we can all look forward to him returning to take it to the globalists as the leader of UKIP. I know Diane James is the new leader of UKIP, but she's just there to keep the seat warm for Nigel's return and rid the party of globalist infiltrators. You see, Diane will be able to be totally ruthless in destroying Nigel's enemies and making enemies of her own, because she won't be leader long enough for the chickens to come home to roost, and then Nigel will be able to return to a pure party. So we'll still have to support Diane just as strongly as we do Nigel. Just because she's only an interim leader, that doesn't mean she isn't extremely important. And so to show my support for the new leadership, I would like to offer some advice on what UKIP needs to do now to ensure we Brits get back our sovereignty. First, start calling for a wall to be built around the entire UK to keep out immigrants. It might seem like a strange and unnecessary idea, but so does Trump's wall, and it's working for him, so I say we go with it. Second, no shows of support for any Tories. We need to stop giving the public the false impression that there is more than one pro-Brexit political party. Already UKIP supporters are returning to the Conservatives because Theresa May is engaging in gesture politics, saying Brexit means Brexit, but it's bullshit. She's the puppet of the globalists hoping to destroy our sovereignty, and we need to make sure the public knows this. All Tories that say they want a true Brexit are liars, because if they truly want a hard Brexit, they would have already defected to UKIP. Just look at Jacob Rees-Mogg, one of the most prominent Tory Brexiters, who is already betraying our cause, saying we need to accept EU control over our own financial institutions. Just be sure to share this video to make sure true patriots know that the Tories are traitors to our cause and that they continue to support UKIP. Now, the third thing UKIP needs to do is start vilifying Muslims and Islam. The Breaking Point poster revealed during the referendum campaign was a good first step, but now we have to make sure UKIP is synonymous with not just nativism but Islamophobia as well. Learn from other populist movements across the globe. You might not need a plausible or even existent economic policy to rise to power in a country, but both Marine Le Pen and Donald Trump have shown you do need to disparage two different groups, not just one. Now, I've picked Muslims here because it would mean you wouldn't even have to create your own talking points. You could just steal someone else's, but any marginalized group would do fine, gays or Hispanics, for example. And the fourth and final thing I think UKIP needs to do to get back our sovereignty is continue fighting the globalist elites. The fight to take back our sovereignty is not over. The Visegrad Group is threatening to veto any Brexit deal that doesn't give their citizens the automatic right to come to our country, and Theresa May is trying to use the supposed economic damage caused by Brexit to give global corporations even more power and wealth at the expense of the average Briton. Now more than ever, the United Kingdom needs a strong UKIP to protect us from globalist scum. Now, while the attacks on sovereignty I was talking about before were figurative, I do fear there may be plans for a literal attack on British sovereignty in the form of an invasion. In a leaked letter, a retired army chief claimed the British armed forces had withered and couldn't protect the United Kingdom from a full-scale assault by Russia. Now, there are two reasons for why this could have been leaked. Well, actually three, but the third reason would require there being no ulterior motives and the letter not being part of some bigger globalist plot, so we'll just dismiss it out of hand immediately. Now, the first reason, which is the one I'm leaning towards, is this is just more Russian scaremongering, readying us for World War III and the complete global takeover of the elites. What with Donald Trump winning in the US presidential election, the globalists may feel they have to speed up their plans and stop the 2016 general election, and a war with Russia would help them achieve this goal, as they could then declare a state of emergency and call off the election. And so this letter may just be one drop in the ocean of escalating tensions between the West and Russia that happened this week, with the US bombing Syrian government forces and the Syrian peace agreement failing because of the Western-backed rebels violating it. Hell, they even dragged an RAF drone into the bombing Syrian forces just to make sure the UK won't be able to get out of going to war. On the other hand, though, I did find the letter saying the UK would not be able to protect itself from a full-scale assault by not just Russia, but any major military power like the US or perhaps even the EU army they're planning, to be a little ominous. Maybe they're not preparing the public for an attack on Russia, but an attack on the UK. Sure, it may sound crazy. You may be asking, how could any Western country get away with invading us? But think about it. Which idea sounds crazier? The US invading the UK, or the UK losing a war against the US? The British would never lose a war against the US, or the EU for that matter. We are the strongest nation to ever exist, still to this day, even after globalists have tried to weaken us. Which is why I wonder if this letter doesn't actually have anything to do with the Russians, but is really about diminishing our confidence in ourselves, so we won't question it when Theresa May surrenders to foreign rule without even trying to repel the invasion. Alright, I think that's about enough depressing news for one video, so we shall end with a joke. The Labour Party. The big story involving the Labour Party this week doesn't even involve the Labour Party though. Instead, the focus has been on Momentum and its new branch, Momentum Kids, which is meant to help boost the political involvement of children, and in no way is it to act as a tool for brainwashing kids. No sir, there will be about as much brainwashing carried out by this children's organisation as there has been by any other children's organisations controlled by political figures. I'm just imagining a bunch of 5-year-olds running around using nationalisation as an excuse to steal some other kids' toys. Luckily, the people running Momentum Kids do seem too incompetent to be able to successfully train a poodle, let alone brainwash a child, but it does go to show just how anti-democratic Corbyn and his ilk are. Political children's organisations are a classic tactic of dictators, not future prime ministers. I once thought Corbyn could be an ally in our fight against the globalists, but I think it's time to accept that Corbyn has been corrupted by them. Just look at the difference between Corbyn a year ago, a principled socialist, and Corbyn now, a power-hungry communist. Now, the warning signs were there when he named John McDonnell as his shadow chancellor, an outspoken lover of Soviet Russia and the communist regime, but the final nail in the coffin for me was his support of the Remain side in the EU referendum. A true socialist would never support the corporatist EU, but a communist, well, they just can't help themselves from being in awe of the control it has over everything and how untouched by democracy it is. And that's why Corbyn will be allowed to win the leadership election. The globalists don't care what form their totalitarian rule takes, just so long as they're the ones at the top. In fact, because the globalists hate free markets, since it gives people a way of becoming successful, it doesn't go through them, they would almost prefer a communist regime. But the truly surprising development in this story, though, is how the moderate MPs have reacted to this. They are freaking out. The globalists have turned on them, and these former globalist puppets just don't know what to do with themselves. For the past year, they've been trying to kiss the asses of the globalists even more, throwing all their support behind the Remain camp and kissing the feet of global corporations, but it just isn't working. So now, in their panic, the moderates have started to ape the policies of UKIP. Chuka Umunna and other moderate Labour MPs have called for Britain to sacrifice single market membership if it means accepting freedom of movement. They've even gone so far as to defend people with concerns about immigration from being called racist. So I want to talk to these moderates now. Defect to UKIP. If you have truly seen the globalists for the scum that they are and want a true Brexit, then you must defect. Otherwise, we just can't trust that you're not insincerely supporting Brexit in the hopes of gaining power like Theresa May. You can't save the Labour Party, it was taken over by the globalists decades ago, and the same goes for any Tory Brexiters. Come to UKIP. They are the only truly pro-Brexit party and the only party you can trust to protect British sovereignty. Well, that's about all we have for you this week. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to hear the truth each and every week. You've been watching The Aster King Show. The revolution may or may not begin here.